Green Party primary mess. For starters, I first started to hear about the Green Party when, in terms of my first mention of it, to try and look at it when I was about 6 years old. It was also when I heard the Yiddish term schmuck for the first time, referring to Chuck Schumer. And the explanation that I got for it was, for being called as such, not getting the meaning of the word at that age, was look into the Green Party. They're where you need to go, basically. And within the next couple of years, I did indeed do that, which is to say, by age 10, I knew of the Green Party, and this is going back about 26 years now. And this is how long I've been following the Greens. More so after I turned 16, in preparation to really become a ballot caster, which is, I was about 19 or 20 when I actually signed up for and became a poll worker. Back when they had the lever machines, which is far better than the easily readable scanner and ballot counting machine, scanner machines and voting machines of today. And the thing is that in this cycle, the Greens started out and the Democrats started out both with at least four solid and different political perspectives. Within the Green Party, it was sign over to, I'd best call it corrective constitutionality, which was the candidate that's since dropped out for medical reasons. Then there was there's the radical socialist, that is Ian Schlachman. Then there's to my mind, solid democratic socialist, that is Howie Hawkins. Then there's the solid liberal, lefty liberal, that is Dario Hunter. Now the problem is that the number one argument I hear for Howie Hawkins is, well, he's been working so hard for the party. He's built it up. Look, I'm not denying that he's done good work for the Greens in the past. I'm not at all. I spent the first, about 34 years of my life in New York State. I get it. When I was growing up following the Green Party, I knew of him. He wasn't an unknown figure. Wasn't a liked figure, but wasn't an unknown either. And again, I've been following this a long time. It's not that I'm a newbie to this. I mostly ballot cast for Greens, but I'm a solid independent, which is to say, I will definitely respect thoroughly the eco-libertarian philosophy. I definitely have some disagreements with it, but when I see anything like an eco-libertarian within the Libertarian Party, especially in a general election construct, I'll go with that, especially if there isn't a better Green out there. And for the most part, I will gaze at the Republican and Democratic Party with about equal contempt and ballot cast for neither one of them. And after the 2016-2015 mess, the venom is ramped up on the demonic rats, which is to say Democrats, even more so than the Republicans. Republicans have always been honest evil. Democrats have always been hidden evil. They basically both do the same darn things. So I reject completely the concept of, well, but it's a Democrat. I say, but it's a demonic rat. At least when someone is being honest evil, you get a chance to flee. You get a chance to run. You know what you're dealing with. So I don't respect the Democrats anymore. If anything, I do less than the Republicans. But again, they're both about equal, so I can't. But both the Libertarian Party and especially the Green Party, they have a lot more of a variance in what they have within their primaries and in what they have in candidates. With the Greens always, from what I've seen, having the absolutely best options around. They really do. Isn't to say I always agree with them. Isn't to say I even agree with the majority of their candidates. But they always have. Okay. At any given year, they have the candidates with the best platforms. So, and again, it's not to say that judges every individual race, but again, which political party of the four has the most good? Without question, they're it. And without question, they have the most diversity as well. That's why the flagging system, which was put in after three candidates began running, was so infuriating and was so obscene to me, because it was kicking out at least 4 or 5 of that element of diversity via this flagging system. Again, which was objected to not just once, but 4 different letters, and the higher-ups refused to acknowledge it, refused to try and fix anything. Instead, they just kept on, well, Hawkins has built our party, and we have one more here that's gotten through our rigmarole. Greens, just like with Dems, just like with Libertarians, what the habit is whomever is also running for president and loses the primary for that, they become the vice president. So they've gotten a vice president and a president now, and whomever is in order of the winner of, whoever in theory gets the most delegates is going to become the top option in terms of president. Whoever does not of those two, they'll be getting the vice presidential slot. And the fact that Howie Hawkins is a Russiagator, the fact that he has the Cold War mindset, that even if you accept the takebacks on which again, I really don't, but if you want to accept that, then you still have to then follow that up by asking, why is it going to take really 2 years to pull back, minimum a few years, to withdraw all of our forces? Which, again, both of them together are my real issue. It's not just how bad the statement on Russiagate was in terms of his pullback written statement. It's the fact that on a pullback of military forces, he is so weak-minded and so weak in terms of saying that, well, it'll take a couple of years, or we could skip the federal jobs guarantee, as opposed to actually putting in a detailed step-through process of saying, okay, let's have the people that are really National Guard and yet have been deployed throughout the world, let's actually transfer them to National Guard. And then let's take our actual troops that have been out there and let's put them on furlough until we can fade them into a federal jobs guarantee. Those who want to adhere to that, and the rest of them just accept universal basic income. Instead, no, he's saying, well, we're going to, if we could either withdraw quickly and not have a federal jobs guarantee, or we're going to need more time to withdraw our forces. That's a huge problem. It is a freaking huge problem. that this mediocrity of being maybe anti-war is who you're pushing through against all this resistance to say, this is our leader, this is our person. That's a problem. When you've got so many people who are coming and may well more come from, and as the last straw, giving up fully on the Democratic Party, who has been dwindling down over the past 30 to 40 years from having about 40 to 50% of people registered to and eligible to vote as members to having under 30%, and it keeps on dwindling depending upon which numbers you look at, if anything, and especially if you deal with the quote-unquote the really people that are truly loyal. Then you're getting into about 10% of those who are eligible to vote. And that's before you even bring in all the voting machine and ballot counting machine rigging as per the DNC for a lawsuit in terms of, and the Diebold lawsuit that Jill Stein has pushed. Okay. So that's before all those things are put into play. And yet you're still saying that we're going to eliminate more choices ahead of time, and we're going to put aside this rule that says that, well, and we're going to make it a quote-unquote technicality that he's overruling by saying that even though the rules that were put in place before anyone started to run, that you can't be a member of and run in two political parties at once, which Hawkins did. They're going to say, well, since the political party that he registered in is not in the state that he's running in, which is a story that, therefore, even though he's built the party, he's not built it far enough, and so therefore he could get away with breaking this rule, or bending this rule in this way. Sorry, but you're being absolutely obscene to the faces of the people who really do care about these issues, who really do care about the democratic process, who want to see election integrity back so that we can get some decent people into office, who, again, will, and again, I am a real independent, but at the same time, I'm an independent that votes and ballot casts at least 75% and has for over 15 years with the Green Party. Because even though, again, whenever a Green isn't running for a slot, I'll choose a Libertarian, okay, to avoid the Republicrats. The fact is that I still think that my voice should matter when it comes to someone who's really been following the Green Party a long time, really does want it to succeed, and is superbly ticked off by seeing all these manipulations. Travel for me is hard. Okay, it really is. Which is one of the reasons that I've withheld in terms of going in person to religious group services. It's one of the reasons that I've withheld in many social activities. But at the same time, if I can see some sign that the National Party will actually listen, then I may well try and go and make about a 250, 300-mile regular trip to Springfield, Missouri, or another place that, has a solid number of Greens in it within the state of Missouri, to more actively participate. But at the same time, if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to spend about 6 to 8 hours in the car, needing to stop every 30 to 40 minutes to stretch, because otherwise my legs will lose sensation and I will crash my car, basically. Because those long drives are really hard at this point for me. But again, if I'm willing to do that, okay, then I need to see that the National Green Party is willing to show fairness and not just go with establish with, well, it's his turn. It's his time. Again, I've spent most of my life in New York where Hawkins is indeed based in. In general, the people that quote unquote go through that in terms of all going through the motions and or being in an establishment spot for that long, by the time they get to their turn, they're trash. They've been completely corrupted because they've spent too long there. And I don't think that Hawkins is an exception to this. I think he's a prover of the rule. I don't think that he's a mole. I think that he really started out good and well-intentioned. But I think that at this point, at best, his platform is about 20 years behind. I know that Bernie Sanders, in terms of his platform, it's about 40 to 50 years behind. The fact that the rest of the Democrats, okay, are basically running on a platform that's about a century behind doesn't change and doesn't make it so that because Hawkins, it's his turn, any better. When, in fact, there are a couple of candidates where they're on time. Okay? Schlachman, he's on time. There are other actually people that I've seen around, one of whom, Montana socialist, who's really close to Schlachman, even though, again, he's running in the Democratic field. He's on time. I don't agree with him on the gun control issue at all. Okay? But for the most part, his platform is on time. Okay? And that's the problem that I'm seeing overall. You can't say, well, we want more people to come and we want to build a platform and we want to build new membership and say to people, but you gotta wait your turn. And because of the fact that it's his turn, you gotta let him go. That makes no sense. And the excuse I'm seeing of, well, there's too many candidates, we gotta weed it out somehow. Again, I've been following over 30 candidates. The Republicans, the Greens, and the Libertarians. I still want this mess fixed. I still want to see the 6 or so candidates running, ditch the damn flagging system. Put it in the sewer where it belongs. And to see a real race. I know the machines are going to be rigged. To me, that's a given. But if this process, you're going to say we're going to at least try and start it from a good spot, you've got to at least make it so that until it's rigged, clearly, it's solid. Shalom.